With his 9-year-old daughter receiving warning after warning from school, Philip was desperate to do something. He had no idea what his daughter Isabella was up to and why she wasn't going to school on time. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video with your friends. So one day, he decided to follow her. Everything was going smoothly. He saw his daughter get on the school bus on time and arrive at school right on time. But as all the kids left the bus, his daughter was nowhere to be found. And that is when the dad began to panic. Philip and Patricia Pieri always wanted to have a family, and when the couple was blessed with a daughter, Isabella, they felt complete. The two of them were devoted parents to their little girl and tried their best to give Isabella the best life, despite struggling financially. The family lived in Utah, in a small town where they had a strong network of friends and family. Philip spent his days and sometimes even nights working trying to provide for his family, while Patricia spent her time taking care of the home and, of course, Isabella. Life was tough but manageable for the couple, but that was all about to change. When Isabella was only 3 years old, Patricia received a dire diagnosis which shook the family to the core. The strong mother was determined to fight back, and she did just that for 6 years, but sadly, she ended up losing her battle and passed away. This was a loss that broke Philip and changed Isabella forever. Philip had lost his rock, his best friend, and his support system. His whole understanding and expectation of his life shifted. And worst of all, he didn't know how to be a dad anymore and felt like he was failing his daughter. Isabella herself went on a journey full of grief and confusion. The young girl had lost her mother before she had even gotten to know her, and now was living with a father who she didn't even recognize anymore. After a year lost to grief, Philip knew he had to change. He had to get stronger, not for himself, but for Isabella. The single dad forced himself to forget about his pain to be there for his daughter. He now had to learn how to be both a mother and father to Isabella. Saying it was a challenge would be an understatement. As we mentioned above, the family was already struggling financially, and now Philip had to deal with the crippling cost of his late wife's hospital bills while discovering how to be a better parent to his daughter. Of course, Philip wasn't the only one who had to change and adapt. Isabella losing her mother at such a tender age forced the young girl to mature faster. She became independent, and at times even helped her father deal with their loss. After 2 years, the two of them had managed to finally find a rhythm. Philip had found a better job, but his hours were tight, and this meant that he couldn't be there while Isabella went to school in the morning. Most kids her age would have buckled at being alone in the morning, but not Isabella. She quietly accepted the responsibility of getting herself ready for school every day without any help. The independent little girl woke herself up every morning, made her breakfast, and got ready alone. Things weren't easy, but she soldiered on, and Philip couldn't have been prouder of his daughter. Just as the father was finally learning how to be happy, the first warning slip arrived. Initially, he didn't think much about it. It was a simple late slip issued by Isabella's school, and he thought it was okay to not give his daughter a hard time about it, since it was the first one she had ever received. However, the first warning was soon followed by another and another. 2 weeks in a row, Isabella had gotten late slips, and when Philip asked her about it, Isabella had no explanation. She refused to explain what was even happening. The father was getting worried. Not only was Isabella not acting like herself, but the school warnings also were rather insistent that his daughter could not be late anymore for school, or she might be suspended. Things were getting worse every day, and Philip unsuccessfully tried to change his work hours to drive Isabella to school himself. With his young daughter's changing moods, Philip was stumped. What to do next? Philip decided to take a day off work without telling Isabella and decided to follow her to school. He wasn't proud of himself for doing this, but with his daughter, a blank wall and suspension hanging over her head, the desperate father had to do something. He wanted to see if Isabella did follow the routine Philip had set out for her, and to his complete surprise, she did. She was on the bus exactly at the right time. Philip wondered if somehow Isabella knew he was watching her. He followed the school bus all the way to the school, and as the bus arrived with plenty of time to spare with his daughter, Philip was getting more and more confused. What was happening? He saw the school kids disembark the bus, and yet his daughter was nowhere to be seen. What in the world? He had seen her get on the bus, but she wasn't getting off it. What was happening? Philip waited in his car, and as he spotted all of Isabella's friends walking into school without his daughter, the father was getting worried by the minute. What had happened to his daughter, and where was she? He knew the last couple of years weren't easy for Isabella, but she was always so open with him and told him everything. This new chain of events was something completely unlike her, and Philip felt lost as to how to handle things. Philip drove to work, huffing and puffing at Isabella, and knew he had to confront her, and that evening, he did just that. He sat the 9-year-old down and started the conversation off gently. He asked her if she was having problems sleeping or had made any new friends. Isabella answered no to both the questions, and when he asked her if she was keeping up with her morning routine properly, he saw a glimmer of hesitation. This was all Philip needed. He recounted to Isabella how he had followed her to the school and how she never left the bus. Losing his temper, he demanded an explanation, and finally, Isabella broke down and told her father everything. The young girl revealed that she stayed inside the bus with the driver after all the kids had left. Alarm bells were going off in Philip's head at that statement, but when Isabella explained why the father got teary-eyed. Ever since Patricia had passed away, Isabella was forced to do everything alone. Where once she had her mother to guide her in all things, now the 9-year-old had to learn everything on her own. While Philip tried his best, there were some things that he just didn't know how to do, and that was Isabella's hair. A topic which father-daughter had always fought about. She'd get mad at me for pulling her hair. I didn't know how to do it, he admitted. At one point in time, Philip was so frustrated with Isabella's hair that he decided to give her an impromptu haircut with his shaver at home. The little girl loathed the new short hair, but knew that complaining would only make her father feel worse. So she put her head down and went along with it. And after 2 years, her hair had finally gotten long again, and with that, the daily battle of managing them had also begun. And that is where the bus driver comes into the story. Tracy Dean loved her job as a bus driver, and the kids loved her. She was funny and charming and made the dreary mornings a little warmer with her kind and warm personality. So when Tracy noticed poor Isabella slumped in one of the back seats trying to hide her hair under a cap, she knew that kids could be rather cruel, and Isabella would have been an easy target with that unsightly haircut. So one day she had asked Isabella if she could stay back for a few minutes on the bus, and when she had pulled out her hairstyling kit, the little girl's eyes lit up. Before Tracy could even finish her sentence, Isabella excitedly screamed, "A yes!" I could tell she was struggling with her hair, and Tracy wanted to help. She asked how Isabella would like to style her hair for school, and the little girl knew exactly what she wanted. "We usually do 2 French braids first, and once in a while she just wants 1 braid," Tracy admitted in an interview. This had become Isabella's new morning routine and the reason why she was getting late from school. The first time Tracy had done Isabella's hair, it had taken her nearly 30 minutes just to brush out all the tangles, but what took most of the time was talking. Isabella opened up to Tracy and told her all about how her dad tried to help her with her hair, but he never quite got it right, and this only made Tracy want to help the little girl further. Tracy was a mother to 4 herself, and when Isabella told her that her mother had died because of cancer, a diagnosis Tracy herself had been given but had remarkably fought back and recovered from, the bus driver started crying. The two had developed a strong bond during their daily hairstyling sessions, and Isabella would tell Tracy about her day and more, making her get late from school, and now Philip finally knew what was happening. The father was teary-eyed himself, and he vowed to tell everyone about Tracy, the bus driver, and the kindness she had shown his daughter. The story soon spread across the community and made Tracy, Philip, and Isabella into local celebrities, and soon the 3 of them were asked to do interviews to recount their stories. Tracy explained, "I didn't just survive for my husband or my children.